Today we're talking about starseeds. If this interests you, stick around. Hello and welcome back to the Wholeness Shift. My name is Veronica, and if this is your first time here, welcome. I teach people about easy, practical spirituality and intentional living, and all of the simple little things that you can do to create the life of your dreams. So if this interests you or sounds good, hit the subscribe button below because I wouldn't want you to miss anything good. First things first, I have the windows open because we still don't have air conditioning in this new house, and it's hot in here, and I have to have the fan off when I am filming. So it is what it is. If there's a car that goes past, sorry, boo. So today we're talking about starseeds. And I know I've mentioned them here and there, little sprinklings throughout my other videos, but today we're going to cover them in depth. First of all, let's start by discussing what is meant by starseed. Let's just preface this by saying that technically we're all starseeds, every single one of us, in the literal sense. We have all had lifetimes or incarnations in other star systems, whether it's Arcturus, the Pleiades, etc. We've all had many incarnations in other planetary systems. So technically, we are all starseeds. And a lot of people get argumentative when you're talking about starseeds because they want to make that point. So let's just make that point out of the gate. In this video, I'm talking about what is now culturally known as a starseed. And by that I mean, back around World War II, there began to be an influx of souls that came in with less of the 3D polarized way of thinking. They came in with a higher vibration. They came in to assist humanity with the ascension process. And they typically do have guides working with them from other planetary systems. Typically, it's a planetary system or two or three that they've spent a lot of time in or most recently have lived in, and they've contracted to come to this life to help with the ascension process, and they keep a lot of that higher vibration that they would have had in another star system. That was a mouthful. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Okay, so in a nutshell, it has always been the plan for Earth to ascend. Since Earth was created, the plan was for humanity to ascend and for us to move from a 3D reality into something higher. And we've always had other star systems, other benevolent star races watching over us to help us with this and to help guide us along this path and to protect us from other more malevolent, yeah, that's a word, to help protect us from other malevolent star races that can be held a little more responsible for kidnappings and experiments and all of that kind of stuff. So back around World War II, when they saw that we were starting to drop atomic bombs, no one up there liked the timeline that we were on. That was bad news. So they decided that that was the perfect time. It was pretty imperative to get this ascension party started. And so they started sending in some early scouts, if you will, to test the waters and to see how we're doing and to get the ball rolling. So with that being said, the very first wave that came in are referred to as the first waves. They can also be referred to as the blue rays. Blue rays or first waves. And those came in right after World War II, kind of with the baby boom generation. Some of them started coming in then. So we have the blue rays, then we have the Indigo Children, then we have the Crystal Children, then we have the Rainbow Children. So let's start with the blue rays, or the first waves. As I mentioned earlier, they began arriving shortly after World War II with the baby boom generation. Their primary mission was to upgrade and fix the DNA of their family bloodlines in order to prepare the way for the Indigo Children that would be coming through. The first scouts of the Indigos began coming in the 60s with the whole love movement, the hippie movement, the make love not war. That was the beginning of the Indigo movement. The bulk of them came through in the 70s and 80s, though. I am an indigo child. Are you? Keep in mind that not everyone born during that time is an indigo child, or a starseed for that matter. Not everybody is. Many of them are, but not everybody is. But chances are either you are or someone you know is. And the fact that you're drawn here to this video tells me that you probably are. So what are some common traits of indigo children? Well, first and foremost, they've always felt that they were destined for something big. They may not have been able to articulate what that was, but they knew they were here for a purpose and that they were going to do something big. Indigos see what's wrong with the world and they want to fix it. They saw all of the paradigms and whatnot that had been set up by generations before in all of time, all of history on Earth. And they were like, we don't like that. We think women need equal rights, and we think racism should go away, and we think domestic violence should not be swept under the carpet, and we think that child molesters should be punished, and we think that homophobia is bullcrap. So they came in to bust down the oppression and those different paradigms and timelines and constructs that were in place on this earth since its incarnation. Growing up the way that I grew up, in a really strict Baptist household, I can remember times where I was livid. Like, I remember I had a gay friend that I brought home after school one day to hang out, a gay boy, and my parents tossed him out. They were like, "You are not welcome in our house." And they made him leave. I was beside myself. I was so angry. I didn't know what to do with it. And at church, in the youth group, I was the kid that no one else wanted their kids to hang out with because I was mouthy and opinionated and I questioned everything. And I can remember being in Sunday school one day. I was a teenager, probably 14 or 15, and the youth pastor was talking about how, he was trying to give us the verses that justified how women shouldn't wear pants and whatnot. And I'm just like, why? And he's like, well, because it says that women shouldn't dress in clothing pertaining to a man. And I was just arguing with him full tilt, and I'm just like, well, a woman's clothes zip on opposite sides, and a woman's clothes aren't cut the same, and they are not after clothing pertaining to a man. And who are you to say that I can't wear pants? I was not happy with that, with any of it. I was furious that women were viewed as less than, viewed as property and viewed as less than. And I was ready to change it. I wanted to change the world. I don't know how much of it I changed, but I raised my children to believe in different ways. And if that's all I can do to contribute to this world, by God, I did it. My children are free-thinking, beautiful, strong-spirited, independent women. God, they make me proud. But I did that. That's my contribution. Indigos can get very frustrated when other people don't see things the way that they see them, because they have the vision and they know the world that we can create and that we want to create. So when other people don't see the vision, it's so frustrating. They can be empaths. Most of them actually are, I think, and most of them are very compassionate, kind human beings. They tend to have high IQs, strong intuition, high self-confidence, resistance to authority or control of others. They can have fiery temperaments. Ask anyone who knows me. They aren't bad people. They're actually very good people. They can just be a little bit much to handle sometimes. That's because they're very passionate, especially about the things that they believe in. Their job was to break down the walls so a whole new world can be built. So patience and temperance is not necessarily something that goes along with that life path. Indigos can be very opinionated and very vocal about it. And they just have a lot to say, and that's because they came here with the job of having a lot to say. And if they feel very principled about something, they don't like to negotiate or back down. They take a moral stance, an ethical stance. Many of the previous generations, like the baby boomers, had a major problem with the attitudes of the Indigo Children and how they were always rocking the boat and not just towing the line. But their life plan wasn't to tow the line. Their life plan was to come in and cause just enough chaos to change the world. Next, we're going to talk about Crystal Children. Crystal Children were the next wave to arrive, and I would say that they started arriving in the late 80s, maybe early 90s. The thing about these Crystal Children is that they came in with an even higher vibration, and they were here to show the world what ascension was going to look like. They came in with an even expanded, more inclusive way of thinking. They came in kind of as the antithesis of Indigo Children. Indigo Children were the warriors here to kick some booty. The Crystal Children came in and they were more about inclusion and love. And if you look at those generations, you have the Indigos that were like the trail end of the baby boomers through Generation X and maybe trickling into the millennials a little bit. But then if you look at like the rest of the millennials and the Gen Zs, you can see what I'm talking about. That generation of kids, or now people, adults, they came in knowing that homophobia was crap and that we are abusing our planet and that we shouldn't body shame or fat shame or slut shame, or that non-binary people are just as valid as everyone else, and that sexuality is fluid or on a spectrum. They have an entirely different way of viewing everything than ever in history before. But they came in with that knowledge. So they came in to bring an even slightly higher vibration and to start ushering in that new paradigm, that new way of looking at things, that less polarized way of looking at things. So here are some characteristics of a typical crystal child. They're usually kind, loving, and compassionate. They may have many psychic gifts or be really in touch with their intuition. They can have even-tempered personalities. They're idealists versus materialists. When there is conflict, as long as a resolution is reached, they tend to forgive pretty easily. A lot of that generation have learning disabilities. They may have had ADD, ADHD, autism. And I was told that a lot of the autism, the rise, the influx in autism that we had seen has nothing to do with the vaccines. Do not come for me if you disagree with me. I'm not interested. Just listen with an open mind, okay? What I was told was that a lot of the souls coming in, the starseeds, they were coming in with such high vibrations that this physical human body that they were coming into was having trouble incorporating a lot of that really high frequency. And I don't want to say it short-circuited it, but it's having trouble with that. And I've read a couple of articles about a few psychics that are actually working with these children, and they're communicating with them telepathically, and they're teaching them how to incorporate that energy into their body so that they can function better, and that some of these children became verbal for the first time ever after that, which I think is fascinating. That's fantastic. They can be fearless and a little naive. I don't think that they realize the danger that they're in because they're so trusting. They come in with such a trusting, open heart that they just trust everyone and everything, and they don't think that anything bad's going to happen to them. They'll usually be drawn to a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle. They can have a lot of food allergies and sensitivities. Because of them, many of the impurities in the food and in the environment are being removed, such as GMOs. Now, if crystals aren't working on their mission and they aren't working to keep their vibes high or in touch with the spiritual side of themselves, they can have a tendency to turn inward and to be prone to depression. Rainbow children are the most current wave to hit the earth. They haven't all been born yet. They're just starting to trickle in. And the best way to describe these little souls is pure love. Rainbows and crystals have a thinner veil than the rest of us probably did. So they come in less polarized, higher vibrating, more in touch with their true nature. They're being born with super high dimensional consciousness so that they can impart love and empathy and peace from the moment of their arrival. Their mission is to heal humanity and to revitalize humanity with a loving, higher consciousness. These little babes that are just coming in, they're more likely to be service-oriented, very trusting, probably have a lot of psychic gifts, gender and sexuality fluid. They'll have very little polarity. They're likely going to be very environmentally conscious and will likely tend towards vegan and vegetarianism. And we kind of culturally, we've been making kind of a joke about how triggered the younger generations always seem to be, but there's a reason for that. These little sensitive souls are coming in as little sensitive souls. They're sensitive. They're coming in higher vibrating, they're coming in sensitive, and they feel, and most of them are empaths, and so they're feeling things that are said and done in a way that previous generations didn't, not as much. And they're more in touch with their higher self, and when something that's not nice is said, they feel it, and they're like, that wasn't nice, I don't like that, or that hurt. They do get triggered more easily, but that comes with the territory. They're not making it up. They do feel triggered more easily. Keep in mind that this was an overview and that these are generalized archetypes of each of these starseeds. This certainly doesn't apply to every single person, and I know that there can be differences, but this was a general presentation of each of those archetypes. I'm going to read this next part so I don't mess up her quote, but I like what Gigi Young had to say about this. She said, Indigo, crystal, and rainbow describes the progression of consciousness through this process more than it describes a person individually. The indigos came in with a warrior attitude, and as we progress, we are moving out of that consciousness and into a higher place. Because we're doing away with all of those things. We no longer have to be warriors. Not as much, although right now, currently in this moment in time, 2020, I'm looking at you, we do. Because there's a lot to fix, and there's a lot going on in our world right now. These little star seeds are out there tearing it up, and I'm so proud of them. We are creating a beautiful, kinder, more loving world. Sorry, I'm an emotional sap when it comes to this. It's about time, and it's happening. Do you see the people out there fighting for each other? I do. And if you've been out there, I see you, and I'm so proud of you. I see you. I see you out there, fists raised, being an ally to all of our brothers and sisters in this world who need our help. This is how change happens. We are doing it. This is why we are here. This is what we were called for, and we are doing it. You are doing it. We are doing it. So keep your vibes raised. I see you. With that being said, if you think this information is something that other people will benefit from, please share this with them. Please hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss anything good, and leave me a comment and let me know what your thoughts are. I'm going to go wipe my face and blow my nose. I love you all. Until next time.